What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's going on?
What's happening?
Bro?
What's happening?
And we're back with another Breaking the Narrative podcast. I'm Teddy.
Tony.
I'm the real Mark Anthony.
Why you gotta be the real? Why can't you just be Mark Anthony? Like there are other Mark Anthonys around.
I don't mean to discredit the rest of them, but I'm the real Mark Anthony.
The rest of them are just hollow. Like, they're transparent. You can see right through them. They're not the real one.
He just put more salt in the wound.
Well, I thought it was like the oh-so real.
It is the oh-so real. Yeah, man.
I like the oh-so part.
I had to put the oh-so in because, apparently the real Mark Anthony was already taken.
Yeah. Like, not only is he real, but he's just like, that's not good enough. You gotta be like, he's oh-so real. You know what I'm saying? Like,
except for when we're talking about looks versus personality. Then he's fake as a motherfucker.
Forever a hater, bro. People will really realize that about you one day.
I'm not hating. I'm honest.
It's
like as soon was hater like the word that you just decided to look up this morning and now all of a sudden
I've always known that you was a hater, but I'm just not gonna say it today. I'm gonna make it known that you was a hater, bro.
Okay, call it what you want. I call it honesty.
I guess.
So I guess eventually the looks versus personality thing will resurface.
It
since
definitely
we
is.
can never seem to come to an agreement.
I left that shit buried. I walked away from that one.
That's because you felt as though you won when you didn't.
Nah, it ain't because I felt I won. I just ain't care.
Yeah.
That's why you was talking out the side of your neck and shit. It's all right. Now we get it. We get
Haterism.
it. We
Haterism
get it.
is for real, bro. I'm telling you, man. It's just mad salty today.
But anyways, we'll that'll resurface one day because clearly still some animosity there. But today we're gonna be talking about good job experiences and bad job experiences. Like some of the good things that happen while you're at a certain job and some of the terrible things that happen when you're at a certain job. I'm quite sure everybody has terrible things.
Man, we have a collective between all of us. It's like
yeah. But let's start with the good. Or do you think we should just get the bad shit out the way first?
I think we should get the bad stuff out the way first, then leave on a good note.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that. So, you want to start it off, or
I mean,
what's the worst job you ever had?
Target, hands down.
Oh, that was quick. What about you? Oh, so real, Mark Anthony.
I really have to think about this one. I definitely dealt with some aggravations. I want to say
How many jobs have you had, man?
a lot.
Oh yeah.
I definitely got the resume for sure.
This nigga's a drifter.
and some of them actually do have some years on it, but like
you don't stay at jobs for that long though.
I mean, I would like to, but if I get put to that point, like it's actually quite rare for me to quit a job.
Mm-hmm.
But and actually, it hasn't been too often I actually resigned. A lot of my jobs are just based off. It was just like, well, it wasn't enough workload for everybody to be there, so it was just like, unfortunately, we just don't have the work for you.
Okay.
Type of shit. But yeah, I've definitely been doing a lot. Working a lot of places. But I want to say that worst job. It's between two. I want to say between GNC and PetSmart, but I probably had to say GNC because I actually was at GNC for only a month.
Yeah, okay. Now you worked at PetSmart? That's all right right there.
Yeah, he was at PetSmart before he was at America's Best.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Was it?
You was at the PetSmart like a couple doors down, like PetSmart, or you was at another
over there
joint?
in Largo.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say, man, cheating on them just to go find another job. When that,
And I found out that was Petco, and I actually, when I was putting in an application and shit like that, because I wasn't sure they was going to hire a dude or not. I mean, I don't know. They seemed like they was just a little slow at the time. I actually did take an application over there to whatchamacallit, but of course, it was already supposed to be set in stone that I was supposed to be at America's Best anyway.
okay.
So, but I was just trying to be careful and be smart, like have a plan B, I guess.
All right. So is that why you only lasted 1 month at the other joint?
Well, at GNC, that was actually my first job outside of other joints because I did some summer job type stuff, and I worked at I worked for 4-H in Patuxent River, which actually, like, I would say that was my most real job because I was actually, like, making, like, some real checks, like, bringing in some real money in the thousands before thousands was actually a good deal to now.
Right.
So, I was doing that for a minute, but, like, actually deciding to go into retail, that was my first retail job. My manager ain't teach me shit. she basically was just like, well, here, I'm gonna put you in front of a computer. I hope that you learn this. Like I was doing everything within a week, and really didn't have much experience for nothing.
Okay.
I was closing the store, all that shit. She was just like, yeah, I got you here, so I just do what the fuck ever. Like, she was just like off. And I think the only reason why she felt like she was able to do that, because she brought this up a lot, was that her father was a owner of a GNC in Mexico. That's fucking Mexico.
Right.
And it was the GNC over there at the mall, over at Forestville Mall.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So it was just like, yeah, man, this shit just ain't. She's just setting a nigga up for failure. And I guess the opportunity that she had to find one mistake on me, she was like, yeah, this happened or whatever. But actually, what I thought that actually got me terminated wasn't even really the case. She just said that I was not dressing up for the code of conduct and blah, 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 whatever.
Oh, yeah,
so
of
other
course.
shit that she made up, which I know it was.
Right.
Now, I know I've showed up in regular clothes because I had other shit to do. First of all, I was a student. So I'm still showing up, and then I'm changing my clothes. So I'm actually in a dressy attire or whatever. She just threw some bullshit out there or whatever the case may be, because the district manager or whatever, I don't know, it was somebody higher up.
Mm-hmm.
They called me, and it wasn't her. And just like, yeah, this is happening because, it was explained that you were not dressed in the code of conduct or whatever, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, thinking in the back, man, this is a little bullshit, but I'm not going to argue with a white man on the phone.
Right.
So fuck it.
Okay.
Goodbye. I'm going to just come and buy my product because you're the closest GNC there, because I was still in the gym as a young man and shit like that. So I was just like, yeah, I'm buying my product because you're the closest GNC here and XYZ. And also, I definitely want to make sure I get my fucking check, because as much as you trust this woman here to do this, that, and the third, she's finessing the fuck out of you because she's not responsible at all.
Right.
That's how I was able to fail in the first place. It was all on her. Like,
Yeah.
it couldn't be done.
Hey, you definitely got to watch the jobs with the whole last check thing, because they definitely will finesse.
Yeah, like I was just like, nah, bro, give me my shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
She was funny about everything, and I was not fucking playing, And
Yeah.
of course, I was still green behind the ears, but I just wanted to be aware of a lot of shit. So I think that was just my worst job, because it was just a waste of fucking time.
Right. Your worst job was Target?
Yeah, hands down. Like, the funniest thing, I only had 2 jobs in my entire life. 2.
Okay.
That's it.
And the other one was the furniture.
Yeah, and it was at Court Furniture. I was working at Target for years, bro.
Right.
So, my worst experience, technically, is obvious for the people that know me and know me from Target, was what a lot of people don't know. I cut the tip of my finger off
Yeah.
at work.
All right, so do you mind if I actually because I really didn't get the whole full story. Like, there's times you even told me, yeah, you know what happened. I'm like, I have somewhat of an idea about it.
You
It's
know,
like,
the
I
end,
hear
you know the
about it,
end
but
result.
I don't really know the story, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So the story was, I was working at Target, and this was in 2004. So while I was, well, not 2014, I'm tripping.
Y'all about to be like, damn, I'm at first year in high school, my man.
Yeah, 2014. I was just thinking about some other shit, but yeah, 2014. I was working at Target, and we were doing like the whole Christmas shit.
Okay.
Like, and around that time, everybody goes overnight, and then they start to like set up the entire Christmas area and stuff like that. So they had me in the back room so I can pull down some stuff. And in order for me to pull stuff down from the shelves, we use machine. We call it the crown, but it's actually called a stacker. So it's a pallet jack that lifts itself up all the way to like the ceiling. It has a really high like lift height, and we have shelves that are stacked three stories. Well, not 3 stories, but like it goes up like almost 3 floors. So we're pulling stuff from that height. It's sort of like having a forklift, except it's just nothing more than like a motorized pallet jack. So I was certified to use that. But the problem was, at that Target, they had an issue where they did not like putting money into their equipment, especially if it was faulty. So we had to go through a process of taking a wheel off just so we can use it. Otherwise, it will fall off and you're dragging it along the floor.
Right.
And something that heavy scrapes the floor. So we had to go through an entire process we had to take the wheel off, then set like a block underneath of it. Then once we do that, we'll we'll end up having to put the wheel back on and hammer it in. I was in the process of doing that. However, what I like is you lift it up with the crowbar, and we have a crowbar, so that otherwise you ain't getting that motherfucker off the ground. So you had to lift it up with the crowbar and then put it on the little wood plank that we had. So, in the process of doing that, I ended up I had the crowbar up, and my finger was almost right underneath of it, and I was thinking to myself in my head like, what if this shit falls? And then as soon as I thought that, boom, this shit fell right on my finger because I didn't put the wood block under it right after that. So it fell right through, and it didn't it cut right through it. Like it took it off, and the tip of my finger was sitting underneath like 2 tons worth of metal.
Damn.
And
just imagine that shit.
Yeah, I don't even try.
I'm sorry. I would have had to fight somebody just to go ahead and get rid of the pain.
Yeah, it cut it right off to the point where I pulled my hand back, and there was nothing. Like the only thing that was showing was some of the bone. It was like my bone was so sharp to the point where you could probably stab somebody with it.
I would assume that you would have been a lot better than me because, like I said, I really would have had to fight somebody.
Yeah,
I would have had to go in a blind rage just to ignore the fact that it's happening for at least 5 minutes.
I mean, what I did afterwards, like I was sort of like I was in pain. I was like, fuck. That's all I was thinking about. But I was so in my head, I was so indoctrinated to get work done that I thought to myself, my initial thought was, how long am I going to be out? Because I need to get back to work.
Yeah, he's wild.
Fact. So, question: did you ever get a workman's comp at all for that?
Yeah, I got workman's comp.
Oh, okay.
But
would you say that it was a worthy workman's comp?
Fuck no.
Yeah, it would have to be like a super nice amount.
Like I'm losing independence for that,
bro. I only made up the amount of money I would have made when I was still working. That's how much I got. That's unacceptable. I probably got like $3,000 something dollars.
And
out
see,
of that.
thinking back then, back in 2014, I probably would have been the same way as him. Like, all right, well, I gotta get the job done, type shit. But now, bro, I would have been like, fuck it. If you can't fucking put money into this equipment, then you don't want to get the job done. I'm gonna just fucking leave it at, well, you got this job done. Why isn't this done? Do you see the fucking equipment that we gotta use? I'm not gonna fucking sacrifice myself for that. You're not gonna pay me. You're not gonna be like, oh, well, he's an awesome worker that he would sacrifice the chances of his safety for this. No, they're not gonna do that. I would have been like, fuck you. Is either you fix this, put money into it, or it's not getting done.
I ended up staying, which was one of the reasons why I didn't like working there, because they were really iffy on the shit that needed to get done. So I chose.
Even after the accident?
Even after the accident, all they did was like stuff it with some shit so it would stay in and it wouldn't come back out. And they didn't fix it. It was still fucked up, but it was just
put the Band-Aid on it.
Yeah, they technically put a Band-Aid. Technically, what I was trying to do with my finger when it got cut off, that was what I tried to do. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck am I doing? That's not going to work. I would have
been that childhood ass nigga, be like, well, would you have done it?
Like,
and if they would have said yes, I'm like, use a lying ass motherfucker for real.
The wild shit is,
you see, even the light flickering, it agrees.
Nah, but the crazy shit is, like, when I initially did it, and nobody knew about it because I was so quiet.
Right.
Like, anybody else, like, they would tell me, I would have been crying. The fact that I was so calm, that scared people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally walking around with a cup in my hand. Like, I took the tip of my finger that was underneath it. I actually lifted it back up with the crowbar, and then I took it from underneath it, and I had this shit sitting in a cup full of ice.
After, being that you realized that you were so calm about it, did you still let it be known, like, yeah, this happened, so what y'all gonna do?
Yeah, I mean,
because somebody had to be responsible for that.
Yeah, because the overnight ETL that was there, like, she was first and foremost, everybody was distraught. I probably scared the shit out of at least like 12, 13 people that day. And I didn't do them any better with the way I was treating it. I remember I was actually holding the tip of my finger in my hand. I was like, oh, look what happened. Like, smiling and shit. And people were just, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
First of all, yeah, because that's a very unnatural response.
It is.
Two is just like, damn, man, that could have happened to me. And three is just like, bruh, like, somebody's financially going to have to pay for this shit.
Yeah, I'd have had to have stake in Target or something after that. Like, they'd be like, here go 10% stocks of Target. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy, bro. Like,
yeah, but you know how the situation turns out. Like, you have lawyers, and they say the best they can get you is like workman's comp, and probably in cahoots with the rest of the Target and shit.
yeah, they definitely in cahoots.
Yeah, that's a payoff. They getting paid off.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, man. At that point, I didn't. I was like, fuck it. I just want the money.
Right.
But nowadays, if now I look back on it, I would be like, you know what? I probably should have fought more than what I did.
Yeah, because you could have got way more than that.
Yeah, I could have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just wanted to get back to work. That's
Right.
all I knew.
Yeah, like both of y'all said, the mindset 7 years ago
Yeah.
was super different
And
versus
that's
now.
what people do. They just take advantage of the fact that we're ambitious about work.
Mhm.
Like, I can say that for myself now. Like,
Yeah.
what I'm doing now is pretty cool, but at the same time, it's just like they just see somebody who's really ambitious, and that's what they're gonna see from me off Bucks anywhere I go. I don't give. It's like I don't give a fuck what the job is. First of all, if I'm walking in your door, I'm interested in the job, because I'm not walking through your door had I not made the decision myself of this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So they just, and the very moment I'm doing that, it's just like, oh yeah, I want to work, I want to get to this, because that's what I'm about. I'm like, okay, me making friends or being cool with everybody or whatever, that's a bonus. Whatever else good shit that comes in, it's a bonus. But it's just like, I'm here to work, I'm here to do the job effectively, and I'm gonna be a product of how you train me to do my fucking job. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's just how it's always gonna be. But people take advantage of that, just like, hey man, I see it, he really wants to fucking work, and so they're gonna try to milk you from that first. And if you don't catch it right away, it's just like, all right, cool. Well, I don't feel bad because it's just water under the bridge. But then when you realize it later, it becomes a problem, and then that's where some people try to fault you for that.
Yeah.
Like, if I realize this, I'm like, man, you trying to play me for a chump, bro, and I'm not that stupid. And it's like, it's insulting for people try to continue to run with that.
Because the thing is, even like you said, 7 years ago, like if you do a quick age check, you were what, 21?
Probably in 2014.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't even know.
So in 2014, since you're 29 now, you're gonna be 30 this year.
Oh, you're 29.
Look,
So-
man, you
So 22.
do the math for me, because I'm not gonna do it.
That, even though it could have did that on your fingers, but
Yeah,
okay.
he's 22. Man. Back then, I was 23 years old. It was like, and I still remember it was
I
actually,
was 22 then.
it was only like maybe 4 or 5 days before my birthday.
Yeah. So I was 24, 25. But yeah, you're like super young. So I know if they see you come through the door, it's like, oh, he's just a young man. He probably is focused on women, and as long as he's getting something, he's happy. You know what I mean?
Not with me. Not when I
And-
walked in the door.
But I'm just saying that's like you said, taking advantage. That's basically what they was doing. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how my job treated me and shit.
Mm-hmm. They always do. But,
Yeah.
That was technically like the beginning of the end of my my ability to care about them and more caring about myself, even though I was still working for them. So I was like halfway to where I was now, or to where I am now, because I had the I don't care mentality. I just didn't have the I don't care enough to leave. So it got to a point where they were starting to like, once I went out on leave, on injury leave, they ended up telling me, like, so many people came to me. It was like, oh man, like, I'm sorry, like that happened to you. Like I was coming back up to the store and shit, and there was people giving me their numbers and shit, like actual supervisors, like giving me their numbers, like, oh yeah, I'll try and get in contact with you and all that shit. Thinking back on it now, all they wanted me to do was to come back to work. But back then, I just saw it as like, hey, maybe they're gonna see me for like a better, like they'll see me as more of a worker now, as in like maybe I'll get more attention based off of my work ethic and how
And the sacrifice.
the sacrifice that I'm trying to, that I'm going through in order for me to get back to where I am, or back to where I was.
A lot of companies just gonna realize how good you are at the very moment that you're about to leave, because like now they gotta realize, well, fuck, I gotta replace that.
Nah, at Target they didn't care. So
Well, yeah, you definitely got a lot of employees there, so
yeah, at Target they really didn't care. So when I ended up coming back, they ended up just saying, there was people saying that it was my fault that happened. It was literally like team lead saying that it was my fault. Like, oh, you shouldn't have did this. You shouldn't have did that. Y'all should have fixed the fucking machine.
I understand both sides of the spectrum. Well, they definitely should have fixed the fucking machine, for one. But two, it's just like they're gonna hold you liable because you were willing to use a faulty machinery.
That's not there is no way.
No, that's just typically in the
I was
politics
no, I was
in the workplace.
I was put on that machine. I was not like I didn't go back there willingly. They told me to go back there and pull shit down. That is
either
all
way,
of that is cut out.
Either way, it's on the job.
Yeah, you can't.
It's the job issuing faulty equipment. It's on them.
Indeed, most definitely, and they have to take responsibility for that shit.
Yeah, because if that's the case, he wouldn't even have got the $3,000.
Yeah, and then like I had to do a drug test and everything, and everything comes back negative because I'm sober. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that.
Yeah,
they had to pay me.
I would. So they had to make you take a drug test just to make sure that you.
Yeah,
no, that's
insulting.
Any job does that.
That's the rules, though. Yeah.
I mean, I would have did it, but I'm like, dog, like, come on, nigga, like.
Because
this
I mean, you would
really
be
how you gonna take it.
You would be surprised
bullshit.
how many people failed the drug test, and even if drugs didn't play a part in the accident, now they don't have to pay you. Their sole purpose is to not have to pay you.
Yeah,
no matter what happens.
That's the whole fucking insulting part because like I immediately, the very moment they said drug test, I'm like, oh man, I know what this is. But like first and foremost, like you know it's your fault. And we all know that this is your fault. But you gonna try to okay.
Yeah, and
fuck out of here.
Like a lot of the shit that I was hearing is like it's from people who've never even come close to experiencing anything of that nature. Like there's not too many people that can say, "Oh shit, I've got the tip of my finger cut off." Well, I've gotten anything of mine cut off. There's not too many people that can say that. I still remember how it felt. Healing. I still remember how it felt. Like there was when my finger was in a cast, it was pretty much attached to my pinky. So it would stay straight. So I had every single night around midnight, every single night, I would have to like endure the pain of feeling as though my finger was breaking for 3 hours.
That's just fucking insane, bro.
And they gave me Percocets for that.
I can only imagine that shit, bro.
Well, not one Percocet, it was oxycodone what they gave me in order to get rid of that.
Not to make a very bad joke, which you can determine whether it is or not, bro. But if that shit happened to me, I probably would have hoped it was my middle finger, and I would have told the motherfuckers to keep it and put it in the frame, so you know how I feel about you after that.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
But
even though I'm quite sure you getting your finger cut off, you're not gonna be thinking like that.
Oh no, trust and believe. Everybody gonna get cussed the fuck out. Somebody gonna have to fight something, and like I said, after a while, when I'm healing and shit like that, to finally regain my thoughts, I'm gonna like keep that shit.
Yo, and the funny thing is, like, they got on what was it? Like, they got on like the little person that does the tech for the store. They got on him like the day after. Like, it was technically his fault. Like, if you don't report it, then it's not going to him.
Yeah, that's also another unfortunate thing that they do with companies is just they pass the buck. Like
scapegoat. Got to find a scapegoat. Did he get fired?
Nah.
Well, at least he didn't get fired.
Nah, like he got chewed out and all that other shit.
I wouldn't even have take that. I'm like, what the fuck?
They had I remember like the security. They kept coming to me. It was like I had to watch that video over and over and over again, and it felt even worse every single time I watched it.
And I was told him I ain't feel sorry.
Nah, and these are people like I was cool with. I had no problem with none of them. Like most of them was females, the security and shit. So they would just tell me, "Oh my God, like how in the world did you deal with that?" Because I was walking around like nothing had happened.
Right.
And outside, like, because I ended up having to go to the hospital afterwards, but it was like maybe a good like 10 to 15 minute window as to when I was actually just walking around the store with my hand up because my finger was like literally cut off and I had a paper towel wrapped around the shit.
It wasn't a bigger wound than that because you would have bled the fuck out 15 minutes. It only takes a few.
Well, it was, son, like when it comes to like cutting something off like that's small as your finger, as long as it doesn't hit an artery, you're not going to bleed out like that. No, especially if you hold it up.
It wasn't a big ass wound, bro. Cause that's fucking.
Like it was from like the line at the top of your finger all the way like to that, just straight up.
You definitely lost a segment.
Yeah, you can tell.
But that's definitely a positive response that you had there. Just like because it's either if you was the panic, you definitely would have felt the pain even more.
Yeah, which is
So,
another reason
it's
why I
just like-
wasn't bleeding out
it's
like
good
that.
that you had the mindset just like, look, man, I know this is supposed to hurt, but fuck it, I'm gonna laugh at this shit, joke around or something. I'm gonna have to be nonchalant as fuck.
People
with this.
kept telling me I was in shock. I was like, no, I'm not.
And you probably were.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. Like me and like my mom has the exact same thing when it comes to pain. Like we don't really see it as like a really huge thing, really. Like we just go on about our day. Like with me, I would literally deal with pain on a regular basis. Like I'm walking around the store, I'm getting hit with shit, and I'm just walking it off and all that shit. I've dealt with pain on a consistent basis to where the pain doesn't register in my mind like it normally does with other people.
I guess that you and I will see it differently. I mean, of course, I've had pain that's just like, obviously, all right, well, damn, well, that hurt. And I literally will say it like that, like, damn, that hurt. All right, cool. I know I've obviously felt something. But also, there's times I've actually will start bleeding out, like especially from my wrist. And no, it was not because it was actually intentional. But there's times I literally just sat there holding my wrist and was just like, oh, damn, man, this is a lot of fucking blood. And I just kind of like sat there and just like, well, what the fuck am I going to do now? Type shit. And I mean, I assumed that it was really shock and adrenaline that was doing that for me, though. Because literally, I was just like, it was the idea of like, oh, man, I mean, this obviously is not a good amount of blood to be losing right now sitting here. But, yeah, I mean, it's here. And it was just like, okay. And there's even a point I kind of laughed at. I was just like, huh. Like, literally just started chuckling and shit. And it was like, all right, cool. Well, now how the fuck am I going to patch this up?
Okay, so your issue, like you're just looking at the shit and just sitting there.
No,
That's the difference between
I
you.
was actually, but in the time, I was actually contemplating because it literally just happened randomly. And it was just like, well, I can call 911, but I still have to wait as well. So that's mapped out. And so I'm talking to 911, and I still have to fucking wait. How am I gonna fucking hold this all? Because literally at the time, I just literally just kept putting paper towel over the top of the paper towel, and it literally just looked like a whole fucking white cloth. I mean, not white cloth, red cloth. It just kept seeping through, and just like, you know, just dropping one and after another in the trash can. It was just like,
you know, without pressure, that shit's gonna keep going.
Yeah, and it was definitely a pressure applied, but literally it just kept seeping through to the point where if I was just to squeeze the shit, it's like squeezing water out the motherfucker. It was just like, that's how much blood was just being lost. And I'm just like, all right. And I just assumed I was going into shock because there was a lot of blood being lost, but I'm just still like chuckling like, you know, this is fucking happening, and it's taking a minute for the ambulance to get here, you know.
I mean,
So,
maybe you just react to the shit differently because you dealt with pain. and
but definitely, I definitely have to thank my adrenaline for it because I really, for the situation to even happen, for my wrist to even be cut open, it took adrenaline for me to even do that. And I knew that shit was still activated while I'm looking at the shit. Because literally, what happened was I punched through drywall and a tile bathroom wall. So
that's self-inflicted.
And it was like I lost myself for a moment because of what was happening in the scenario. For me to even do that was like I was being mentally abused. And so I guess my body was just like, well, you got to feel something other than this. And that happened. Literally just like, bang. And I looked, and I was like, I just punched through glass tiles. I literally punched like through 3 layers of walls at one go. And I'm looking, and it was like, okay, that happened. And now I got to call the ambulance. And now I still have to wait. And it was just like, and I looked at it, and I was just like chuckling. I was just like, I really didn't know what was going to come of the situation. And I was just like, well, you know, this really fucking happened, and this is a lot of fucking blood. And I knew it was supposed to be a problem, but it was just like, I guess the adrenaline was still kicking in, you know.
That's half adrenaline and half of you just not checked. You're not checked in at that point.
Yeah, shock.
That's not necessarily shock. Like you just weren't beforehand. You weren't checked in. That was spontaneous. That was just a part of you that was just there.
I definitely came back realizing after I did it.
Yeah, so
And then
you
on
check
top
the
of that,
fuck out.
And where I was just like, dog, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, and this happened. It's just like, man, this shit don't make no fucking sense. And I'm sitting there thinking of numbers of things. Like, how am I gonna explain this? Of is the person really gonna give a fuck from point A to point B of the explanation of why this happened? And here I am fucking bleeding and all this other stuff. And on top of that, given a certain health history that was given, like the first thing was asked, where's the knife at? And I'm just like, what knife? It was like, where's the knife at that did that? I was like, that is what happened. There was no knife present. Because literally, like, especially when people seen the scars, it was like, Mark, what the fuck did you do? Like, and I'm like, no, I did not try to cut myself. Like, this was like a freak accident, if you will.
Okay. Still, that
It was
definitely an iffy thing. But again, I wasn't in shock when that happened. I was.
Shit, I don't know. I probably would have, like, literally a whole fucking metal pallet taking my finger off.
Like,
that's just literally some shit that I'm only used to seeing in the movies, and it's just like, what the fuck?
I mean,
I've actually had, like, maybe a top portion. It didn't come all the way off, obviously, and it was enough to be stitched up, but even that was just like, damn, bro, like, I'm about to lose a whole segment of my finger. Well, am I really, willing to look at that every day? I don't think I am. But, and power, all benefits to you, bro. You strong as fuck for that one. So, me, I definitely, like I said, for 5 minutes, I would have had to fight somebody.
Nah,
just
bro.
to ignore that shit.
Nah, that wasn't in my mind specifically. Like I told you what my first initial thought was. Like, I was gonna miss some days, but I was so much of a team player. Like, the thought wasn't centering around the job. It was like, oh, I'm gonna let the rest of them down because I'm not gonna be able to finish the rest of my work with them. That was where I was too loyal to the cause to where sacrificing myself was secondary. Like, as long as they were cool, like, I had no other problems with myself, like, with myself being, like, sacrificed for it. That was my biggest issue. And, like, the job itself preyed on that. So like, after that, like, during the whole healing process, everything was done. I came back to work. Niggas was, like, it seemed as though I hadn't left in a bad way. Like, they didn't see it as, oh, shit, like, you got your finger cut off. We need to, like, accommodate you in some type of way. It was more like, you're just here again.
Yeah. Judging from that one experience in itself, that pretty much speaks for itself about that. And I just noticed that we are leaving one valuable player in this whole conversation out. Mr. Blackman.
What?
What is your worst work experience, my brother?
With mine, it was more so looking back on it, I didn't know at the time what the hell happened. But years later, I finally figured out what it was happening. But I would say the first time I had an anxiety attack at work.
I
ain't never heard about this. What the hell?
Yeah. So a couple years ago, well, not a couple years ago, last year, this is 2021. So yeah, like last summer, I had gotten sick, and it made me like start going to the doctor more frequently. And so when I was going, I was telling him about like these episodes I would have, and he was describing it as anxiety. But I was telling them, like...
I'm going to cut you off for a second. For a lot of people who really just don't take this seriously, anxiety is totally fucking real. It's not just like somebody just tweaking the fuck out. Like, nah, anxiety is a serious fucking thing.
And it's different types, because I have a different type of anxiety. Yeah. So it turned out that my anxiety was stemming from a chemical imbalance in my body, and not the normal stress and stuff. Like, cause that's what I was telling the doctor. I'm like, I do got a lot on my plate, but I don't be caring about shit for real. So Thanks. It's not, what I'm saying?
I think some of my anxieties come the same way, because I've also been told that I may have that I do have a chemical imbalance.
Yeah,
and that's why the healthier shit I'm doing now.
Right, and it forces your body to carry through that episode, even though you might not be triggering it. You know what I'm saying? It's just you got certain chemicals that push to your brain that might press the panic button. You know what I'm saying? So obviously I learned this over the last year, but back to, I think this was 2016. I was at work, and I worked at GW overnight, and me and my coworker, we like work in this whole building next to the hospital, and of course there's students and stuff, but as far as coworkers go, it's just me and him taking care of like the whole building. You know what I mean? So it was like a normal ass night. I listened to music. He do his thing on his, because we split the building in half. Like, I do the first 4 floors, he do the second 4 floors. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm listening to music, going through, sweeping, cleaning the carpets, vacuuming, all wiping shit down, all this other type of stuff. And like out of nowhere, I just noticed like I can't breathe. You know what I'm saying? And at first, I'm thinking it's just my imagination. Until a couple of seconds go past, and I'm like, you know what, damn, I really can't catch a deep breath right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like my breathing like real shallow. And so I sit down for like about a good 30 seconds. And then I'm like, all right, well, nothing's happening. I just can't catch a deep breath. So maybe I just need to chill for a little bit. So I stand back up because I'm about to go up to the little break room or whatever. And when I stand back up, my heart starts like super racing, like 100 miles per hour. And so I'm like, all right, well, something might be wrong here. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still not like tripping. That's why I feel so weird, because it's like normally you panicking, but it's like my body's panicking, but me for some reason, like my mind is just not panicking. You know what I'm saying? And so then it's like I noticed after like a minute or two, the junk was still like racing and shit like that, and I still couldn't catch a deep breath. So I was like, just to be on the safe side, like I don't think I'm having a heart attack or nothing, but I don't want it to be no slow like situation where I'm slowly losing breath. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I called my supervisor and shit like that. And because I was at this time, I was like such a highly looked upon worker, it made like a super big deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I called him, obviously he called like all the 2 managers and shit. And then once they had explained to like a couple of the coworkers, like 7, 8 people came to the building and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the
high commodity.
I appreciate the love, because everybody just wanted to make sure I was good. But it was like at the same time, I just didn't know what the fuck was going on. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up going to the hospital, and then they do their little normal checking of your vitals and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, your heart is beating kind of fast, And what was weird, like it explains it, because years later the chemical imbalance. What was weird was my heart was beating fast, but my blood pressure was still normal. So yeah, something like that doesn't add up, because normally if your heart's beating faster, your blood pressure should be higher. So they ended up keeping me like overnight and shit like that, and ended up keeping me for like the whole day. They running like all these tests, taking blood, testing for this, testing for that, and everything was coming back like super negative and shit like that. And throughout the course of the day, once I took like a nap, when I woke up, I felt like super like regular. You know what I'm saying? So me, I was just like, I feel regular. I can catch a deep breath now. So obviously that was the problem's gone. You know what I mean? So I felt like I could leave. And it was just that whole ordeal was kind of like, looking back on it, that was like scary in a sense, but it also was just like, I just didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, that definitely does sound like a chemical imbalance neurologically, because you, from how you explained it, it sounded like you really wasn't doing anything. So everything was just a triggering from the mind, just like, oh, well, my body should react this way.
Or I just felt like, because when it came to like last year, and I had got the stomach virus, and I ended up losing like a bunch of fluids and stuff like that. And so they were sending me to like all these little specialists to like check my inside of my body or whatever. And that's when it was like discovered like, okay, certain chemicals that your body naturally produce, like to help your kidneys filter out certain stuff, or to help your liver filter out certain stuff. Like, you got a lot of this over here, but only a little bit over here. So you know what I'm saying? So something is wrong. We can't pinpoint what it is. Because at first, the only thing that I was concerned about was the heart.
Yeah.
Remember that's the only, I was like, as long as my heart comes back good, then I'll just take everything else with what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I can fix everything else with a good diet. Yeah, like, because like I remember I had to call him and my other bro over here to help take the stuff from upstairs.
Yeah.
And
because it was me and
Mo,
yeah.
Yeah, and I would walk up the stair. I would walk up one flight of stairs, and I was like gasping for air.
Yeah,
like,
that nigga was literally gassed the whole fucking time.
Yeah, like literally gasping for air, and I'm like, damn. It's like I feel good, but then I'll do something like that, and it's like, damn, it feel like I'm about to like pass out or something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We told you to sit down quite a few times and shit.
Yeah, and so I was getting the little test done, and it's just like, yeah, your heart. We got the X-rays, and you know, I went and took the stress test. So they put you all this little shit on you and have you running on the treadmill and shit like that. It's like, you know, your blood pressure's kind of high, but your heart's functioning pretty normal. We don't know what this could be. And obviously they was trying to just, not my doctor, but the specialist people. Oh, you know, we could just give you some high blood pressure medicine and, you know, go on a bunch of things. I'm like, yeah, nah, not right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so eventually, you know, my doctor was just like, you know, how's your diet? And I was like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I just like just be eating whatever, whenever. You know what I'm saying? Nigga just be out here living and shit. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, any little thing trigger me, like going to eat some junk food or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, we playing video games. I order carry out. Like, we at, huh?
I remember.
Yeah.
You told me this shit.
Yeah. Like, we at the court or something. Hey, what y'all about to go? Y'all trying to go to McDonald's? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah, that's probably why your chemicals not naturally producing the way that they should, and it's causing some of your organs to lean on like some of the other organs, and that's probably what's like causing this trigger reaction. So I'm like, all right, you know, when I want to, I got good discipline and shit. So
yeah, he's proven that over the past like year and a half, I guess.
Yeah. So tell myself, all right, cool. Cut out the junk food, incorporate the healthy eating and stuff like that. And then he was just like, you don't have to cut it out completely. You just want to like reverse your routine. Because I was telling him my routine was out of 7 days a week, I might eat junk food like 5 times. 5 days out the week, and then eat healthy the other 2 days. You know what I'm saying? He was like, well, if you do it the other way around, you know, you might be, it's at least way better than what you're doing now. So, all right, you know, give me a little month to like try to get into the groove of things, because that's gonna be a big deal. Just, you know, eating like that and then reversing it and shit. Yeah, started a little diet, cut a bunch of little bullshit out, and then like nigga just started feeling better, losing weight. You know.
So now is it like now that you're eating more for what the ingredients can actually produce for you, other than just taste wise, or you still kind of like it tastes good to me, so this is what I eat?
It tastes good. Like I don't eat like junk food a super lot. Like a majority of it actually comes from Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Man,
it's not
make me feel bad.
nah.
Make me feel bad,
I mean,
bro.
Shit, but
Yeah.
it's good food though.
Yeah, so it's like it's a majority of Mike, and then like my mom, she does it like probably maybe once a week. So
You gotta let the viewers know. Well, let the people who are listening know. I'm not giving you junk food. I'm giving you actually home cooked meals.
yeah,
There's a difference.
yeah, there's a difference, but still, you know, some of that stuff still isn't good for you in a way. But you do a good job of basically, you know, not overdoing it.
Yeah, like I'll give you healthier shit if I prepare it.
Yeah. So it's just, at the end of the day, you know, nobody's gonna be perfect, but it was just about just trying to eat a little healthier. And
Yeah.
and since then, trying to exercise, even though I'm not consistent with that. But it's like if you're eating good enough, like you could do it without really the exercise.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I could walk up and down stairs and not be gassed like how I was. And I was active then.
Yeah.
Like a nigga was,
We go out to the court and some shit.
a nigga was playing football, flag football, or going to the court playing basketball. And it's like,
It's just your diet. Like, it was counterbalancing a lot of the shit that you were doing athletically.
yeah. And once, because even the doctor was saying, like, if your body's used to that, it can handle it. But once something go wrong, that's when it can't handle it no more. So once my chemicals got imbalanced,
Yep.
that's when it was like becoming a problem and shit.
Yeah, bro. And that was your vice at one point, too, bro. It was like, man, let me go ahead and get this carry out real quick. I ain't got nothing else in the refrigerator.
Yeah. Well, I ain't take the chicken out and shit like that. And yeah. So,
5 wings, fries.
yeah. So now it's just adding in the little stuff. So that probably was like, yeah, I want to say that definitely is probably like the worst job experience I've had, at least on the magnitude of that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think I told you this, but when I was at I don't think Mark knows either. But when I was at Target, I used to have anxiety attacks when I was there.
Yeah.
Mine was more trauma based though.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's different types.
So
yeah.
When I had to deal with mine, it was like it would happen in spurts. It wasn't something that was just chemically imbalanced. Well, technically, my mind was chemically imbalanced at that point.
I mean, because, technically.
Yeah. Because you go through trauma, then eventually you have to deal, like, it resurfaces, and then it just throws everything all haywire.
Yeah.
So, during my situation, I had to, like, it would happen not so often. It would happen, like, so sporadically to where it didn't matter where I was or what I was doing, but I was always alone to my thoughts. That was like my biggest thing. Like, I was always alone to my thoughts when it happened.
Right.
So, like, when it would happen to me, I would start like almost like hyperventilating to the point where, like, saying with you felt a little as though you couldn't breathe.
Right.
Like mine, I felt like I couldn't breathe, and then after that, it was like my eyes would start like tearing up and shit because technically I'm going through like years worth of emotion at one point in time, and it's all happening at once.
Okay.
And for some people, this might seem embarrassing, but it's not. It's real. Like, once you get, like, because me personally, I've gotten past it to the point where it doesn't embarrass me. It's like something that I dealt with. It's a part of the story.
Yeah.
So, like, it gets to the point where I'm literally about to cry and shit because I'm dealing with all of these emotions at one time, and then I can't breathe. I'm like holding my chest and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I'm just sitting there, but I can't get anything out. It was like I felt as though, like, shit, am I dying?
Yeah. And that's how I felt. Yeah.
So I had to deal with that shit. I was like, what the fuck? And then it would like go away, and I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And once, like, I didn't tell anybody about it until like months after.
Right.
Like, I told my mom about it, and she was like, I think you should see like a therapist or something. But I was like, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, like, and now I have a therapist where it's just like, and I just like see how dire it is to even have one, at least for me. Because now, like, where my anxiety goes, it's beyond that now. At first, I used to go through the heavy breathing and all, and I still kind of do. I even used to go on cold shots where it looked like I was having a seizure.
Okay.
But now it's to a point, and this is actually where it seems dangerous to me. It basically, when I have anxiety, it triggers my adrenaline off box now, which is quite bad. And where I've experienced when I have anxieties, especially if I'm like in public places where I felt like either me or somebody that I'm with is in danger or whatever, it puts me into a battle mode.
So it initiates your fight or flight response.
Yeah, like off bucks. And like there was one time I actually was hanging out with one of my friends, and she was just like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we gotta get out of here."
Yeah, that's a chemical imbalance of the neurotransmitters.
And it probably is, but because like literally,
because that's happened to me. That's happened to me before.
Literally, I felt like I could feel myself breathing, but it wasn't like to a point where it felt like I can't control it. But it was just like everything around me just started slowing down. And I was just like, there's something that's really telling me that we're in danger right now and we got to go. Unless you want to see me in a situation where I'm pretty sure you don't want to see, we have to leave. And she was just like, okay. She was like, well, all right, calm down. It's cool. And she asked for the bill, and I took care of the bill and everything. But it was just like, yeah, but like, here's. I basically had to tell her from like point A to point B a few steps of what might happen, and in case if it does, here's what I need you to do. I want to make sure you're okay first. Go to the front door, blah blah blah, whatever. Because whatever's going to happen, if it happens, I just need you to be away.
Right.
And so now I started to realize that even in certain other places, especially when I was at work, it's no longer me being like, oh, well, this is happening and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't feel like a worry to me anymore.
Right,
though
right,
I'm actually,
right.
It's obviously something I'm thinking about is a worry. But it doesn't feel like it. It's just like, all right, well, here's your natural response now. You have to stand. And it feels like it's turning into a symbol of you have to stand up for yourself and you have to battle for this situation.
Right, because you can feel like that adrenaline building up.
Yeah.
Versus like now it doesn't.
And that's why I tell people, I'm like, and when I interact with people, I always try to interact with them with the most positive off bucks. Like, we're all human, so it's just like, right. I give you the respect that you did this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. But see, the thing is like, don't try to take advantage of my respect because it could end bad either for you or me.
Right.
And it's just like, we don't want to do this here, and that's why like I try to avoid anxiety because if one, anxiety sucks. It's just an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And then for me,
no matter what kind you got,
now my anxiety is now turning into a combative response, which of course I really don't intend.
Explains all the arguments.
But it's yeah, exactly. Like, fuck it, Mike just traumatized me with conversations all the time, so it's just like now off bucks it's second nature. So, but it's shit like that is just like, dog, I really don't want to do this, but this is what you're gonna get.
Right.
And just to save face for you and me, let's just not, So there's times I really just like, I have to get into the habit now of saying fuck it, which is unnatural for me because I'm a person that naturally cares. So it's just like, I don't want to say fuck you or fuck it.
Well, except when you have superpowers, then you just care about yourself.
But yeah, it's just like, now it's just like, all right, I found out that I have to walk away from the situation. Sorry if you're going to take it hard, but I'm going to have to remove myself from the situation, and I'm going to have to say, I don't care what you think at this point, because trust and believe, if I stay here now, I'm going to implode. And that's always, and I think that's where it came from, the fight or flight response naturally now, because I've always held myself in a situation, and people took advantage of that. I actually had people who say, if you leave out this door, if you walk away right now, it's this, this, and this. It was an ultimatum, and I actually stayed there, and I fucking exploded, and then they got mad about it. I was just like, well, this is what you wanted. Now it's just like, all right, I gotta fucking leave because I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. You're not gonna like what you see, and the truth is gonna come out. There's a lot of things that I could have said and that I bit my tongue about. That's gonna come out as well, like Tourette's. And it's just like you just don't want to deal with it, and neither do I.
See, this is the typical hero turn into the villain sequence. Remember from the last part?
Like, I forever try to make me forgive.
I'm like, is that not?
Like, when he was saying that shit, and then I mentioned the whole superheroes thing. I mentioned like having a hero with anxiety issues is the worst thing you would fucking want. If you give this nigga superpowers,
he's gonna turn on
he
everybody.
has no chance.
He just said he was gonna turn on everybody. Like, he just said he's gonna get tired of like.
Well, my thought process is not villainous, but my reaction. I'm not saying
okay,
that. I'm not saying that I'm not incapable of being human enough to be like respond, which I've actually felt like I've gotten totally better because there's a lot of things that I've walked away from that I never would have felt or thought I'd walk away from. So it's just like, all right, cool.
Including my house.
And there's times I had to pat myself on the back. I'm like, damn, bro, if nobody gonna see your success, man, shit, you got to.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and it's encouraging you to continue down that path. So I have. Now, of course, there's some times, and this is why I don't feel bad when I do go off, and I say this to everybody. If I go off on you, chances is you deserved it because I actually give you several chances to walk all over me before I pop off.
Oh, that's sweet.
And that's why, like, I literally put a cap on everything, so it's just like, bruh, like.
How many chances you give your friend before you stole that nigga, bruh?
I gave him several. Like, there was actually a build-up process to that. To it actually to become a traumatizing experience. It wasn't just like, oh, well, this, and I felt some type of way. Like, I'm not saying that I don't ever have my feelings hurt, but I also put my feelings in check. I'm like, damn, nigga, like, yeah, you feel hurt, but what you gonna do? Like, is it really worth it to be harming over all the time? So, and I really that 5 minute check is just like, all right, cool, that's past. But if it's something that continuously happens and it's just like, damn, bro, and you start thinking about all the chances you gave, and it's just like, all right. Eventually, it's never really your intentions to act negatively, but eventually it's just gonna get there. The memories are always gonna play with you once or not. And that's what it is with me. It's just like sometimes, especially at work, it's like, damn, bro, how many people am I gonna run into today that's really gonna test this nigga gangster just because they feel like they can? Like, dog,
okay,
like,
Scarface.
like, yeah, like, but really, like, who really goes and it's surprising because there are some people who just like, yo, I'm in here, I feel this type of way. I understand you have a bad day, but and that's just sometimes how I dress. I'm like,
And
look,
you'd be a hero?
yeah, and I'd be
Like the way that you
and I'd be
sound.
like,
All right,
and I'd be like,
let's have it, man.
I'd be like,
Let's
hey,
have
I
it.
get it, let's see what we can do and such and such and such. And see, the thing is, even though I can sit here and speak professionally, I can speak calmly. Hey, let's diffuse this, and the third. It's already still a tough situation for me, especially if I have somebody standing in my face, yelling and shouting and all that. First and foremost, you have to remember we're all fucking human. I don't give a fuck if I'm in a workplace or not. You know what I'm saying? Now, initially, if I'm trying to diffuse the situation, that's the point of me showing you that I care. I give a fuck to diffuse the situation. I'm trying to be professional. I want to be professional. And I really don't want this issue. But at the same time, just don't think it's just going to be easy work, because now it's just like, that. To me, that's the dumbest mindset to ever walk in with. It's like, oh, well, I'm having a bad day or whatever, and I feel like I can get away with it because they're on the clock. That's bullshit. That's bullying to me, for one. It's just like, I don't give a fuck what you think. We all fucking humans. Just because I'm in a workplace and I'm on a job, you can take advantage? No. Since when does the law say that has to go out the window?
Facts.
No, you can still get these hands.
Yeah,
So it's just like,
Target, if you do that, you get fired for it.
yeah, and sometimes like that, bro, like,
Yeah.
to me, I've actually developed a I don't give a fuck. Now, yes, I would hate the fact that I can lose money on that. That's the only thing that's keeping me in place, because of like, the politics of the job is really going to I'm going to have to take your side first, because you are a consumer. Sure, we don't want to lose the money, and we don't want to put money into this person who's going to be complained about while we lose money. So, of course, we're going to get rid of the issue, quote unquote, first. So I get it, but at the same time, and that's why, like, and there's several places I go to, even at Target, I get in there and shit's just like, shit don't make sense to me. But I'm like, you know what? I also work in a place like this. I really don't know what the fuck is going on for it to take this long, for it to be this slow, or whatever. And sometimes the first thing I would want to assume is somebody really ain't trying to work. They being too lazy. They want to be on their phone. But I can't assume that, because assuming will make an ass out of you and me. So it's just like, all right, you know what? I really don't know what the fuck is going on. So I need to chill the fuck out. And I sit there, and yes, I'm frustrated, but I'm not going to say nothing. I even had a time where I went to Target with my dad. But he wanted to complain, and the reason why he wanted to complain, because he heard somebody else complaining, so he just like, oh, this is an opportunity to chime in, and then, we're gonna have a conversation about it so they can hear how I feel about it. And I'm like, no, don't do that. First and foremost, I just got off work. I don't feel like the bullshit. Secondly, it's just not gonna make no fucking sense, because you're gonna be all bark and no bite, and you're relying on somebody else to say something for you to take the time to say something. You're just a fucking complainer, and you just want to cause an issue for these people's jobs. One, you don't want to be here. Two, they don't want to be here. Just like, let's just get this shit over with without as less issue as possible. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I feel sometimes, even everywhere where I'm like, look, for real, I could be doing so much better things. I could be at home chilling, laughing, and not giving a fuck about this dollar today. But yet, I took the time to be responsible. And see, the thing is, people will be like, oh, yeah, you're just another person who's just trying to get by. Nah, I actually give a fuck about doing my job. And I've even had to tell a couple of people, don't ever question my professionalism, because I'm one of the people that actually give a fuck to make sure that it's effective for you today.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're not going to push me around either. And, because like I said, anxiety is a real thing. You don't know what people deal with.
Right.
And that's how I also carry it with them. Like, I don't know what it is that you deal with, so I try to understand your frustration and all this other stuff. Let's work this out. But at the same time, you got to realize I'm human too, just like you. You got problems, I got problems. And if you just want to say fuck it, I don't give a fuck about your issue, and I'm gonna keep pushing. Technically, quote, I'm supposedly responsible for my actions, but I'm not responsible for my actions. You pushed it. Don't act, and that's where the word aggravated comes in. Like, you don't want to aggravate things. You also got to be responsible for your own actions too. But that's where my anxiety comes in. You know, because now it's actually being induced by the environment,
Right.
and not just no longer like a random thing that's out of nowhere, kind of like how you experience, like, what is this? What's going on?
Right.
You know, there's actually things that where I can actually pinpoint and realize what the issue is, and now I'm able to walk away from it. The only biggest problem is it's building a fight or flight response. A majority of the time, it's a defense where it's like, bruh, like, just get the fuck away from me right now, because it's gonna be an issue if you keep pushing.
I mean, the same thing happens to me. Like, I have a fight or flight response when I'm like, when someone pushed me to a certain point. Like that was actually my biggest thing as a kid. Like, one of the reasons why I was so traumatized, I was consistently put into a fight or flight moment. So it was something that was triggering after that.
And
So
it's a real bitch to deal with, because there's people who will gaslight you on that.
yeah, I mean,
They don't want to take responsibility for what they contribute to that reaction. So it's just like, man, you tripping. This, and this. Like, no, don't gaslight me. You know what you did.
Yeah,
Or they just know they got control over you.
yeah.
And want
I mean, but
Which-
that's how some people take control, by gaslighting first. They make
Yeah.
it seem like, you know, one of the initial things a lot of people do, whether they notice that they're doing it or not, is they're going to make you realize, oh, well, you're tripping, you're overreacting. And so you then second guess yourself. But also, that's also what builds the trauma on it, because it's going to happen again.
Right.
And then you just be like, well, maybe I'm overreacting, and this and it. And that also is another anxiety on top of an anxiety that you already got.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, shit like that happens though. So it's just like when you deal with it, you deal with it. Like I had to figure out that in order for me to control everything, as far as the anxiety is concerned, I have to control myself.
Right.
Like, I have to look at myself and say, why do I do it? And then diagnose it. And then once I diagnose it, I know what is going to cause it, so I stay away from it.
And to
And
me-
even if it's presented, I know how to deal with it.
Yeah, that's the best medicine right there as well. Because I even had a psychiatrist who was like, yeah, well, we're going to give you these pills to help you deal with the anxiety. I'm like, well, I know where my anxiety comes from. And the thing is, though, why would I need to take a drug? Because most of the time where I feel aggravated or I'm feeling anxiety is because somebody's doing some shit because they just feel like they can. Why do I need to take a drug because somebody wants to be ignorant?
Right.
That's just not fair to me. That's me basically being complacent and docile and allowing the fuck shit to happen.
Right.
You know, and so I refuse. I'm like, nah, man, I'm not going to take this medication. That if that's the case, then I mean, that's how a lot of people like smoking weed. Well, man, it calms me the fuck down and such and such and such. I mean, I guess to each their own. But me, I'm not going to keep taking this for it to be taken record of that I'm actually taking this just because I got to deal with somebody else's bullshit. Where for real, they can actually just change the bullshit that they're doing.
Right.
So, since we gotten past the whole, like, the darker portions of our jobs and what has happened, and it's gotten pretty damn dark. I can say that for myself.
Fact.
It's got pretty damn dark. So, like, Abe, you want to start off? Like, what are the great experiences you had? Or Mark, either one,
yeah.
whichever one.
Oh, the best experience you had at work.
So the best experience for me and it's funny and it's ironic. It was the negative shit that I dealt with, because it made me this hard ass fucking worker that I am. It helped me realize how reliable that I am, how willing to adjust, how adaptable I really am. And so it also put me in a spotlight where an opportunity for other people to realize how great of an asset that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when it came to America's Best. I mean, if it's true, a lot of people just like realize, just like, man, you're just hard worker. You're this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm like, thank you, because for one, it was rare for me to hear such acknowledgments. Mm-hmm. So there was that, but I didn't become as good as I was without going through all the storms first.
Okay.
Like, especially what I had to do. Like, what I had to do and how I had to do it, it threw everything but the kitchen sink at me. And that's why I say to everybody, literally, that quote itself. I never got that good unless I went through the problems, and I had to figure out resolutions for it. So that's how I got good, and that's how it basically put me on this platform that, you know, Marco, he actually stuck through, because he could have been said fuck it, he could have been just left.
Right.
Especially when I put in my last 2 weeks, people was just like, I'm really proud of you, you handled this maturely.
Right.
You really did the damn thing, because they trashed you, and you still was like, well, I'm gonna do it with a smile, man. I'm gonna go ahead and be like an NBA player on this last game, and I'm gonna just try to do the best performance I can.
Right.
So, you know, that's actually the best experiences I have.
Mm-hmm.
I actually try to push past the whole money aspect. Because one, if I make all this money and I save it and I pass on, it's not gonna mean shit. Two, I try not to let the money make me in the first place. Like, I'm more of a corporate bound type of person of how the function is happening in the workplace. That's what I worry about the most.
Okay.
Working as a team from front to back. We all working as one machine. That's where it matters.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it just all the more easier to make the money anyway. Because
Right.
you already know what the money is going to be when they shake your hand and say you're hired. So you just got to now make the environment more tolerable. And one way to do that is just, like I said, make it an effective workplace where everybody's not making the job more difficult than what it fucking needs to be.
Right.
So, you know, that's just literally what it is for me. It's just that I'm being molded into this person with the experience and the knowledge that I have now from each place.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first it was just like, damn, man, I'm messing up. I'm having mistakes here. And now I'm just getting better and better and better. And it actually made me more responsible.
Right.
So, like, now I'm just this dude, just like, you know, I can see you at corporate places. I can see you running this. I can see you having your own spot, which also means a lot to me, because that is the end game for me. I actually want to own a franchise and shit like that, you know,
Right,
be
right.
a CEO of shit. So it's basically, these are my training wheels that are eventually going to fall off to the point where I can do this shit on my own. And, you know, yeah, so just that is like the best thing I could pull out of it.
Right.
Some people say, man, that's a shitty ass place for you. And especially when people talk about America's Best, I'm like, well, look, it woke me the fuck up. And it basically showed me what to deal with and what not to deal with, and also how valuable I really am. Because there's times I second guess myself. I was being gaslighted in certain situations. And now it's just like, all right, well, nah, I'm actually this good. It's okay, Mark, to say that you're great sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
It ties a little bit of the bad in with the good, and sort of like an overcoming story.
Yeah, man.
So,
Turning rain into fresh air, bro.
I mean, rain comes equipped with fresh air. But all right, let's not say that.
I mean, it evaporates, but we're not going to get into science right now.
So, like, since he was the bridge into like a little bit of the good and the bad, you know, I'll go next. I'll let you take. Like,
I
you don't have
thought you were about to say you about to do good and bad too.
No. Mine
my
is
thing.
more like comedy than anything.
Okay.
It's like, this is when I was working at Target, but
Oh, so you had your best and worst experience
My-
at the same job.
yeah, my best experience.
That's tough.
It is,
Yeah.
because it wasn't best because of the job. It was best because of the people. I had, like, it was 3 people that work with me. Well, actually 4 that work with me that I enjoy being around consistently, because we had somewhat of like the same mindset. Like, we can joke around but get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I'm not going to give them their names because it's just like, nah, I ain't going to do
I
that.
think I know the experience that you're talking about too, and that shit had me dying laughing.
But what we would do was, this is where I started to just be more of myself. And I got a chance to show my comedic side and shit like that. So we would have moments where we're just sitting around just joking, having fun, but at the same time working. And then it allowed me to be a little bit more creative.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if I let both of y'all know, but I used to do the little Randy Savage voice for my friend, like when I was around my friend. So the story behind that is, you remember A Haunted House 2, when he was when the doctor ended up going to jail, and then while he was in jail, Mark Henry showed up behind him, and then this nigga was like,
I don't think I've seen that.
oh, so he's like, it's about to be a Mandingo party, and then, like, what the Mandingo party is a whole bunch of dudes with you know what's, and they about to take advantage of the little white person.
Okay.
So the doctor, white dude, is like, he's calm and shit the entire time, and he's like, okay, yeah, I think I gotta go, man. So I flipped that into Randy Savage. And then I'll make fun of, like, I have a whole bunch of random, like, little wrestlers in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just throw it in there and be like, it's going to be a Royal Rumble in that ass. So, like, yo, it would be so much fun just doing shit like that with the Randy Savage voice. Because I'll just be naming wrestlers that's going to take part in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did probably the best wrestling voice of all time.
Bruh.
Randy Savage.
I remember one time we was in the back. And we was like in the back behind the store, and we was like making pallets of shit to put in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, I was like, Kevin Nash is gonna get all up in that ass. And this, Keenan fucking died. I said I wasn't gonna name names, but God, oh my God, bruh.
Right.
He could not breathe, bruh. He literally fell on the ground. Face first fell on the ground laughing his ass off, bruh. And, like, Theo was fucking dying. He was sitting there on the pallet jack with, like, one hand on the pallet jack. It's just with his head in his arm.
Mm-hmm.
He was dying. And I was doing that shit around everybody, even Ronald, even Kurt and shit. Like, all of them. They couldn't, like, I was using that shit consistently. And then I'll also use, like, a little, a southernish voice.
Right.
I think I told you about it already.
Right.
But I would use a southernish voice, but the thing is I created an entire character backstory for him. He was and he will always I always mess with Theo about that shit. And then you remember Deliverance?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies right there.
Bruh. The Hillbillies was trying to have their way, because I'm not going to use the other word, with the men that they found who had gotten lost in the woods.
Oh, wow.
And there was one scene in it where he was trying to make him squeal. He was holding him by his ears like, squeal for me, piggy. And he was literally squealing. I was like, oh, bro. And then I flipped it into a comedic little thing. And I look at them and be like, you going to be my little piggy man? You're going to be my piggy man today. And I made it so bad for him the entire time I was at work, to the point where this nigga was looking at me like, bro, go the fuck away. I would literally follow the nigga around and just make the voice and just say a whole bunch of different shit, to the point where I created an entire backstory for the character. He had family members and all of that shit. And also, I was doing it so much that I was doing it off of work when no one was around, because I got so used to it.
Right. Okay.
Like, I was stuck in character. That's how often I was doing this shit. So that was like some of the funniest shit, like some of the greatest moments that I had when I was working at Target.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my God, like, were they fun? But at the same time, we were still getting our job done. Still working faster than everybody else, but we was getting in trouble the most.
Yeah, that's normally how it is. Somehow, some way, the people that get in trouble the most are still somehow the most productive.
Yeah, like,
and the people who don't get in trouble, they tend to be you know,
the ESPN plug every episode.
Yeah, should be used to it by now.
Yeah, sponsored.
Yeah, one day we'll be there one day. But yeah, the people who don't get in trouble don't. I guess you know, you got that good rapport. You ain't got
rapport.
Rapport. My bad.
Nigga talking about
nigga
Michael Rappaport and shit.
Yeah, just read his name and shit. So Ian Rappaport.
Oh, Ian Rappaport.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Just got that, that's what the alert was and shit. So
oh, shit.
Yeah, it's funny how your brain work and shit. Like just that fast. Rapport to Rappaport and shit. So
I mean, oddly similar words.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna fault you for it.
But yeah, the people who got the good rapport at work, they never really got a. It's like there's no rules for them, like no expectations for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they good to go. Like you can show up for a whole 8 hours, not do one thing.
Yeah,
Oh, great job, man.
As long as you buddy with the supervisors and shit, you good.
That's all that matters, you know? And
But
I was thinking about it, cause my joint is really like it's like neck and neck,
okay.
but I'm gonna have to edge it to like Six Flags.
Oh shit! Don't. All right. Hopefully, it's not the reason why I think it is.
I'm not gonna get a specific story. I'm just gonna give a general outlook of the Six Flags situation.
Oh
and shit.
shit! Like, hopefully, it's not what I'm thinking.
So, like I said, it was a toss. It was a toss up because GW like a super close second. It's like a super like. I literally might change my since we started the podcast. I might have changed my mind like 3 times. But
come to the decision.
yeah, but I'm gonna edge it to Six Flags because I feel like it was other little nuances that kind of pushed it above and beyond and shit. Like when I was working at Six Flags, we was young, so I ain't had to pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you getting all the money up front. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that plays a big part.
Yeah. And it's like we was like sneaking and working like full time and shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, breaking the little law. You know, 'cause you ain't, we was like 15, 16. You ain't supposed to be working like full time. That's against the law and shit. But I'll never forget, like a lot of people used to always be calling out. And one day the little manager had like pulled like it was like 5 or 6 of us in like a little close group and shit. Nigga Kenny was one of them and shit.
For real?
Yeah, Kenny, and that nigga Joe. And it was 2 girls that we went to school with. Because we always showed up for work. I wasn't missing no days at Six Flags. That's impossible. Like, I'd have spent the night there if they wanted me to. Like, so when I tell you, working there, it edges out GW because it's like, we did rides, the roller coasters and shit.
Oh man.
And before you even get to like all the bonus stuff, being a roller coaster operator in general, like it's just one, you got like big respect in the park because people eyes in your hand and shit.
Yeah.
So the higher ups looked at you like with more respect than they was looking at like everybody else and shit.
Yeah. If you run like the concession stand. Like,
Yeah, like they was fucking with us more than them. The only people that was on par with us would be like the niggas that used to be like in the costumes and shit on the 100-degree days. Niggas respected them and shit.
Oh yeah. They making a sacrifice and shit.
Yeah. Like, damn, bro, it's 110 out here. Slim, you dressed up like Bugs Bunny and shit.
Yeah, them niggas about to catch a heat stroke.
Yeah, more respect to you and shit. I couldn't do it. But yeah, operating the rides and shit. One, all the females are going to be on your line. Like, all of them. Like, 8-hour shifts, man. I can't even count, like, how many females that you would go smack at. How many females was trying to fuck with you? Like, bruh. I'm talking about, remember when we was in school? I remember I even told you before, when we was in school, they used to give you the little agenda books.
Yeah.
And in the back of the agenda books, it had like 100, 200 slots for like phone numbers and emails and all.
Yeah.
Whole junk filled up just with numbers from Six Flags and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, whole summer, nigga was just cleaning up, Slim. But like the money, the females, like if you work there, when you wanted to buy stuff, you get half off because you work there. And then like when the park closed, we had to like check under all the roller coasters and stuff like that. And normally you would have to take everything to like Lost and Found, but because Lost and Found had like filled up, they was gonna start throwing stuff away. So instead of us taking stuff to Lost and Found, we just was keeping everything we was finding. Niggas was in school with like 2-3 phones. You know? Like niggas in that joint looking like the man and that, you know what I'm saying? Niggas, like, even though I wasn't big on it, other niggas had jewelry and shit, you know what I'm saying? Chains, watches, like, I wasn't big on that type of stuff, but nah, Six Flags is definitely like, without saying any specific stories, that was like overall the best work experience ever.
So yeah, that.
But GW was like a close second. But Six Flags, like, yeah.
Hey, bro, like I have one more thing to add on about the whole Target thing, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that nigga Quincy used to work there, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Son, I remember one day he ended up coming back to the store.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I think it was me, Quincy, like Theo, fucking Kurt, and I think Ronald was there. And a matter of fact, I think it was Keenan that was there.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, this nigga Quincy walk over to us. We was all standing together. He was like, "Bruh, put your hand in. Put it like literally like we about to do the fucking Captain Planet, Lord Joe."
Mm-hmm.
This is like, "Bro, put your hand in. Put your hand in." We was skeptical as fucking first, and then I put my hand in, and everybody else started putting their hand in. There was like, "Bruh, why the fuck we about to do this?" Like he put his hand in too. It was like. By our powers combined, we are target team members.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, he'll pulled his head back. He's like, bro, we are fucking dorks. Like,
But they all really used to do shit like that anyway, right? Like when I used to have a little team meetings. I remember being in there sometimes, and you'll be looking at some random, you'll be doing some random shit, and I know where you just be a target. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, they used to do dumb shit like that. It was never like we never really followed in that.
I'm like, damn, niggas got the little team, the pep rally going on.
Yeah,
and shit.
the little bullshit that they used to do before the it was like right before we start the day and shit. They had a little team meetings and shit. I mean, it was never like. No, put your hand in and all that shit. It wasn't no shit like that.
It sounded like it, though.
Was like some real dorky type nigga that was really doing shit like that.
I was saying, it sounded like it's like, height on 3, target on 3.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah. Target team members on 3 or some shit like that. Like, nah, nigga. Like those are the type of Jones that as soon as they start to get together and shit, I just walk off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I ain't had time for none of that shit, but we definitely did some that. It was bad. It was like, yo, we're fucking dorks.
Yeah. You know how you worked at Target, and then years before I was working at Six Flags, and had a tie-in together. That corny ass nigga out in his
Oh shit.
Yeah. Like he was one of my managers at Six Flags and shit. And man, he used to always from day one, bro. So corny, bro. Just definition of corny, cause just always pander to all the females. A nigga ask him anything, it was always no. Always, bro.
You pulled a Derek Jackson.
Female walk up 3 seconds after what you just asked the same exact thing. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead. Hurry up. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, what the fuck kind of corny shit you on up here? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? And that was his thing. Cause the thing is, you work at Six Flags, bro. You really don't have to pander to the females because you're going to be surrounded anyway.
Yeah, you got a position of power.
Right. Like, you going to be the commodity regardless. But, you know, typical black nigga with power and shit. He flexing his little power. Oh, yeah, I know you do such and such ride normally, but you going to go here today and shit. Let the little female do it. Like, one time, like, he ain't know, like, I used to be best friends with, like, Shanique and shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And to him, everybody was just co-workers, but he didn't know like a lot of us lived around here.
You talking about Shanique with the braces, right?
Right, Queen. Yeah, he ain't know like a lot of us lived around here, or a lot of us was friends from school and shit. He just thought everybody was just co-workers and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I know you normally do this little shipwreck ride every day, but I'ma let Shanique do it because she asked to do it and shit. Whole time. She ain't never say nothing. She don't be caring. Like, who the fuck care? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, she asked to do the ride? Like, you ain't just saying this? It's like, no, she really did ask. You know what I'm saying? You can go ask her. So I step out the room and call her and shit. We best friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only is like, that don't sound like something she would say, she wouldn't do that to me. You know what I'm saying? like I'm like, yo, you said you wanted to like kick me off my ride and so you could do it or some shit like that? She was like, no, I ain't even got there yet. And so I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I was saying and shit. So he's like, oh, you know how that nigga be. He just be doing that shit out of spite or whatever. I'm like, all right, hung up the joint. Went back in there. So, yeah, Shanique said she ain't say nothing like that. She ain't even here. You know what I'm saying? Then he had the little stupid look on his face and shit. I'm like, bro, if you ain't want me on a ride, just say that, bro. You know what I'm saying? You a grown-ass man. You like a grown-ass man, bro. We kids in the jump. We on like the 10th grade.
I don't even know how old Alan is for real, bro.
Yeah, I honestly,
because when I knew him at Target, like he didn't seem like he was that much older than me.
yeah, I was about to say, honestly, looking back on it, it seemed like he probably was closer to our age range than that. But at Six Flags, it seemed like a huge discrepancy though.
Yeah, like the difference it would seem that way when you are like really really young.
Yeah, yeah. Versus like when I seen him at Target, and we finally like squashed a little fake little beef and shit. It's like, yeah, he seemed like he more like our age and shit. Then he's still a corny ass nigga, but
So when I was around him, I never had any problems out of him because I really didn't care too much for team leads anyway. I just fuck with him every now and then, but
Yeah.
I never really cared too much for him. So it was just like he just existed.
yeah, like I said, he always was corny. And then the day I quit, the John and shit, like he was a reason. He was like a big reason why and shit. Like these motherfucking, we was working the jump like during the summer, and then all the way up until Halloween, right? Like every summer, it's the same shit every summer, from 10th grade to 12th grade and shit. So you know, we went to Forestville, the military jump. So it's mandatory that we had to go to before we go to school, we had to go to the little orientation and shit.
Yeah,
And then we had to get our uniforms. Because if we show up day one without uniforms, we get suspended. I mean, without the uniforms, we'll get suspended.
Yeah, they was petty as fuck.
Yeah,
man.
Forestville was super petty. So I'm explaining to this nigga like, bro, normally we knock work out. We always here. Next week, I'm not going to be able to be here because we got orientation during the day. And then that Friday, we going to get uniforms. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, man, if you can find somebody to cover for you and shit. Like, I'm like, bro, this not a debate, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? He talking about find somebody to cover. Like, this not that.
Yeah, like his name's going to count twice on the list.
I'm letting you know, like, regardless of what you saying right now, I'm not going to be. And I'm not the only one. You know what I'm saying? I'm just the only person he fake giving problems to and shit. So, long story short, you know, he say all right, but then somehow, some way, my name show up on the schedule anyway and shit. So I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, that is some bad man shit.
Yeah, like I'm like, bro, this nigga, like, he just hating, like, so corny, bro. So what I did was I would go to the orientation and then I would just go to work afterwards and shit. But the Friday, we had to get uniforms. And you go up to Forestville, it's literally like 1,000 people up here trying to get uniforms. All day thing. I can't make it to work or whatever. So the Thursday before the Friday, he was all like, yeah, so you gonna be here tomorrow, right? And I was like, nah, niggas gonna be getting their uniforms and shit like that, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, oh, I mean, niggas can't take turns going to get them or something like that. I'm like, bro, we kids, bro. You acting like niggas driving or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though we was in the 12th, I'm 17 at the time. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, niggas don't got cars. We catching the bus up here and shit like that. What the fuck you expect, bro? It's like, I'm just saying, you gonna have to figure out something. And so I looked at him, and I was like, yeah, that's a good point, bro. Hey, can I go make a phone call right quick? It's like, yeah, go ahead, take 5 minutes and shit. So I called up there, and I called Top and shit, right? I was like, yeah, Top, I was like, it ain't no way for me to get the uniforms, like, next week or something like that. It's like, nah, Friday is, like, the main day, and there's going to be 1 million people up here, so you might want to even come today and shit. I might say it's Thursday and shit. I was like, oh, we can come up there today and get them those? It's like, yeah. I was like, oh, how long y'all going to be up there? It's like, yeah, till 7 o'clock. I said, oh, yeah, it's 4:30. I can get there in time and shit. Hung up the phone. Went back in that junk. He was like, yeah, so you got everything situated? I was like, yep. Took all my little name tag. I quit, brother. I'll let y'all later, Slim. He was like, what? And he was sick because, wasn't nobody else there to take my spot. So when there ain't nobody else there, he got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And
he didn't like doing shit.
Right.
That's what I can say. The nigga did not like doing shit for himself.
Yeah. And that's, once he was in that position of power, he felt like he was above and beyond. And him having to operate the ride was going to stoop him back down to, like, us.
Like,
first and foremost, that means that when you are above everything, that means you are opted to be able to learn and do every fucking thing.
Right. Because he the one teaching us.
It's a funny thing.
Come on, bro.
Like, Like I'd have a running joke with him all the time. I was like, bruh, why you ain't doing no work? Like all the time, I say that to everybody. I be like, bro, why you ain't doing no work? Is it because I'm usually just saying it to everybody,
Right.
Because as far as like people who are above me technically, as far as like team leads, ETLs and shit, I was like, bro, why you ain't doing no work? He will always come back and say, bro, like I don't have to do no work. I got people to do work for me. I was like, yeah, all right.
And that's his thing. So, bro, he's so corny, bro. Like, if it came to niggas, he was gonna give you a hard time. But the females, do whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want. Like, but yeah, that day I quit. And then from that point on, every time I seen him and shit, it was like, bro, corny nigga, bro.
Like I said, bro, I ain't talked to him that often and shit. But it was just like he just existed at that point.
Yeah.
But all in all, bro, this is a good damn podcast, bro.
Yeah.
Had a quick little side conversations that laid back and all that shit, man. We even talked about some more insightful shit about the anxiety stuff, man. It's good to have Mark here for his insight as well. So
GQ.
Yeah.
Oh, so real.
Yeah, GQ. GQ is silent and shit. Mark Anthony, GQ is silent.
The G in front of Mark and the Q in front of Anthony. Both silent. Yeah, that's sweet, man.
One of the most clever jokes I've heard from this nigga on the fly, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
I still don't get it, but I'm gonna run with it.
What's there not to get?
It's so easy.
Like, you gotta make this shit difficult. You talk about your dad and said you make shit difficult. It's like 1 + 1 is 2. But for real though.
Yeah, I mean I don't understand how that 1 + 1 can equal 2. But
yeah.
Sometimes certain little shit go over my head though.
Your name's Mark Anthony. We call you GQ. Man, we just combining the names. That's all.
Gotcha.
GQ Mark Anthony.
It's okay, bro.
Yeah,
you'll get it eventually.
He gets it. He just when it come every time you give him like too many compliments on one set, and he tend to start.
It's a little difficult to accept.
He start rejecting them and shit like that. All right, guys, that's enough. Okay,
make me feel too good and shit. Yeah. I don't like that feeling. I need to punch somebody today. I can't feel too good after.
Yeah,
it's all right, bro.
It's okay.
We still love you though. But
with that being said, it's been another Breaking the Narrative podcast, and I'm Teddy.
I'm Tony.
Oh, so real Mark Anthony.
And we're also out.